The first dawnlight crept into the birthing room, casting a warm glow over the simple, rustic space. Yara, Embergrove, midwife to the village, stirred the embers of last night's fire, coaxing the flames back to life. The air was heavy with the scent of wood smoke and the faint tang of birthing salts. As she worked, her eyes drifted to the workbench where a book waited, its cover bearing her name in fresh dark ink. The silence was almost palpable, broken only by the soft crackle of the fire and the distant call of a bird outside. The morning light slowly crept across the room, illuminating the simple rustic space. Yara's fingers itched to open the book, to feel the weight of its words. The room was quiet, the only sound the soft ticking of the clock, marking the passing of time. The fire crackled and spat, casting shadows on the walls that seemed to move in time with Yara's own heartbeat. She stood there, frozen in thought, as the morning light slowly crept across the room. The scent of wood smoke and birthing salts filled her nostrils, and she felt a sense of peace wash over her. The room seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for her to make a move. The clock ticked on, marking the passing of time as Yara's eyes remained fixed on the book. Yara's curiosity eventually got the better of her, and she opened the book, her eyes scanning the pages as the words seemed to follow the rhythm of her own work. The cadence was familiar, like the beat of a drum or the pulse of a newborn's heart. As she read, the fire crackled and spat, casting shadows on the walls that seemed to move in time with the words. The room grew warmer, the air thickening with an almost palpable sense of expectation. Yara felt herself becoming lost in the book's rhythm, her breathing slowing to match the beat of the words. The scent of ink and paper filled her nostrils, and she felt a sense of wonder wash over her. The room seemed to be drawing her in, the shadows deepening, the air growing heavier. The clock ticked on, marking the passing of time, as Yara's eyes remained fixed on the book. The words seemed to be weaving a spell around her, a spell that she couldn't escape. The room was quiet, the only sound the soft turning of the pages as Yara became lost in the book's world. The fire crackled and spat, casting shadows on the walls as the room seemed to be closing in around her. The days passed, each one marked by a growing sense of unease. Yara found herself returning to the book again and again, feeling an inexorable pull to its words. The room seemed to be changing, the shadows deepening, the air growing colder. Tools would move on their own, and doors would close with a soft thud as if pushed by an unseen hand. Yara began to feel like she was being herded towards some unknown fate, the book's words echoing in her mind like a mantra. The presence in the room grew stronger, its cold breath whispering against the back of her neck. Yara's heart racing, her hands shaking as she turned the pages, the words blurring together in a mad dance of ink and paper. The room was a maze, and she was trapped, with no escape in sight. The fire crackled and spat, casting shadows on the walls that seemed to move in time with Yara's own heartbeat. She felt like she was losing herself, like she was being consumed by some dark and ancient power. The room seemed to be closing in around her, the shadows deepening, the air growing colder. The presence in the room seemed to be waiting, its cold breath whispering against the back of her neck, urging her deeper into the book, into the heart of the mystery. The clock ticked on, marking the passing of time, as Yara's eyes remained fixed on the book, her mind racing with the implications of what she was seeing. The birthing room was performing its own work now, the tools moving with a slow mechanical precision. Yara watched, frozen in horror, as the room seemed to bring forth a stillborn lamb, its tiny body unmarked and unmoving. The air was heavy with the scent of death and decay, and Yara felt her own heart slowing, her breath catching in her throat. The room was silent, the only sound the soft ticking of the clock, marking the passing of time. The fire had burned down to embers, casting a faint flickering glow over the room. Yara's eyes were fixed on the lamb, her mind reeling with the implications of what she was seeing. The room seemed to be closing in around her, the shadows deepening, the air growing colder. The presence in the room seemed to be growing stronger, its cold breath whispering against the back of her neck, urging her deeper into the mystery. The clock ticked on, marking the passing of time, as Yara's eyes remained fixed on the lamb, her heart heavy with grief. The birthing room was silent at dawn, the work continuing on its own. Tomas Embergrove, a villager, stood in the doorway, his eyes fixed on the book which lay open on the workbench. His hand reached out, hesitated, and then began to turn the page, the words whispering up to meet him like a dark and ancient incantation. The room seemed to hold its breath, the shadows deepening, the air growing colder. Tomas' eyes scanned the page, his face set in a look of growing unease. The presence in the room seemed to be watching him, its cold breath whispering against the back of his neck, urging him deeper into the book. The cycle was continuing, unabated, drawing in a new victim,